Hello, church family. It's Wednesday, and it's time for another Wednesday Minister Moment. I've heard a lot over the last several weeks with regard to people's debates with regard to masks, whether we should wear them or whether we shouldn't wear them. Everybody's got their experts. Some claim that it's really bad for you to wear a mask. Others claim that it is good for you to do that. It's hard to know what's true. There's probably some truth on both sides. But we find ourselves in this big debate. And now in the state of Texas, the governor is telling us to go into stores and into restaurants and things like that we need to wear masks. Some people have to wear them at work. And even at church, the elders here have asked people as they come in and sit down for worship and as they get up and leave after worship to wear a mask or face covering at those times. What I see with all of this is there's a lot of division, a lot of friction, a lot of frustration. And a lot of it has to do with, as a U.S. citizen, no one has the right to tell me what to do. No one has the right to force this upon me. And that may be true. I mean, we do have rights as U.S. citizens. But if we claim to be Christians, I guess the question would be, do we live differently? Do we follow different rules? Whether we agree with this or not, whether we follow one set of experts or not. Where do we stand? What do we do? How do we function in all of this? It's interesting in Philippians chapter 2, when Paul talks about dealing with one another, he says we need to look out for the interests of others, to have the same attitude that Christ had. And then he goes on to explain how Jesus humbled himself and was willing to sacrifice himself for us. And what Paul is saying is we need to look out for the best interests of others, not just what they like or don't like, but look out for what they need. And in addition to that, to follow the example of Christ, who was willing to be humble, who was willing to sacrifice. That's how we treat one another. That's what God expects. I think it's also interesting in the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus said these words. He said, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, well, hand over your coat as well. And then listen to this. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. What Jesus is saying in that last sentence, he's using an illustration that goes along with what Jewish citizens and others who were not citizens of the Roman government, something that they had to do. If a Roman soldier came up to you and said, I've got my stuff here, my pack or some other equipment that I've got to hike this far, I want you to carry this for me right now. And you'd have to do that for a mile's worth. You couldn't deny it. You didn't have a right to say no. What Jesus is saying to his followers is, go the extra mile. If he asks you to go 1 mile, you go 2 miles. He's saying do more. He says do more than what is expected of you. So if we put that into practice in this situation, you may not agree with wearing masks or even some of the other protocols that are required or asked of you, either at churches or even by the state of Texas. But if we are true followers of Jesus, shouldn't we go the extra mile whether we agree with it or not? Even if we feel like our government is oppressing us? Because true oppression was here in Scripture. And Jesus said in those situations, go that extra mile. Here at Western Heights, the elders have asked us to wear a mask when we come in and then when we leave. They never said that everyone is forced to wear one. If someone came in and didn't wear a mask, they wouldn't be thrown out. Nobody would approach you and tell you to put it on. But the elders want to encourage us to do that, to be thinking about others, whether you agree with how masks work or not. But when Jesus talked about going the extra mile, he wasn't asking. He was saying, this is who we are as Christians, as followers of him. And so that's my encouragement to you. Don't judge one another. Don't debate one another about all this stuff. If you want to follow Jesus, then simply do what he says. And as you do that, perhaps you'll be an encouragement to others. And you'll have opportunities to bless others with your presence. I hope that you will take this with the spirit in which it is given. I hope you have a great day. And then I hope as you go through this week, you will look for opportunities to go the extra mile with other people in other relationships and in other situations, because that's what Jesus has called us to. Hope you have a great day.